Hi, my name is Chips. I'm the guy who made the documentary, or who is making the documentary, I guess, since it's not made yet. And today we're going to interview my cousin who spent a year and a half in a detention center. I am an American citizen. I was born and raised in Colorado, and I've lived all my life in the US of A. And pretty much to my knowledge, my cousin Alma, who also goes by Daniela, pretty much has lived her whole life here too. The only difference between me and Alma is I was born on one side of the dirt and she was born on the other side. I don't really know her background. It was always pretty taboo to ask about that sort of thing in the family, even though she is not the only family member who has experienced deportation or the process of it. I don't even know if she was deported. I don't really know anything about that part of Alma. And so today I want to learn about it, and I want to document it while I go on. There is just one problem with this idea, and it's that I'm in Colorado and she lives in Kansas. So we have a little bit of a road trip ahead of us. So I guess let's get going.
Is from the radio. Everything we dream is never what they seem. Feeling rather strange. Waiting for a change.
Yep, this is the house.
It's hot out here.
Oh, shit.
Hola, ¿cómo estás, Abelita?
Ay, hijo de mi alma, ¿por qué no nos avisaste que venías, mi corazón?
Pues, yo dije a Alma que me voy aquí.
Que
No,
venías para acá.
¿Sí?
Pues sí, pero le digo yo a tu mamá, pues no me ha avisado ni nada. Le digo, yo no sé si va a llegar o no va a llegar o
Ay,
qué.
este muchachote hermoso, anda bien mala tu tía.
Mi tía, ¿por qué?
Pues quién sabe, torcida yo creo. Torcida, mi hijo me
Por
hace
andar
falta.
quitando ramas y ramas y ramas, cristales llenos y
¿Cómo vienes?
se torció.
Bien.
Bien cansado.
Ah, no, mucho. ¿Puedo comer? Sí, olvidar, no sé cómo se dice. Sí comé, pero estaba de la calle.
Grabando.
¿Quieres ver eso?
Pero no me andes grabando.
¿No quieres?
No.
Es muy suave, mira.
No, yo sé
Usa
que
su mano
sí,
como así,
pero...
¿no? Te
Ujú.
puedes así, Adelita, y puedes tocarlo, de todo.
Pero ahorita que te vi que entraste con ella, dije, este ya va a entrar grabándonos.
Sí, un poco.
Ay, mi hijo, ni se te ocurra porque entonces sí te
Ella anda
regaño.
grabando.
Esta,
Que grabes todo
Yo
lo
pensé
nueva.
que te ibas a traer a tu...
Oye, mijo, que
Sí.
grabes todo lo que quieras menos a tu nada abuela, porque por
Te está grabando. Ay, te está grabando.
no, solo estoy practicando.
Ah, sí, tú. Ahí
No,
está
mi
grabando a tu
niño.
abuela.
A mí no me vayas a sacar, por favor.
¿Por-
No haces eso te pido, que no, a mí no me gusta.
Ok, no
Te
voy.
vamos a dar puros frijoles con tortilla de harina.
Me gustan las frijoles. Pues el perro que tengo murió.
Se te murió tu perro, me estaba diciendo Daniela, porque me enseñó una foto donde lo tenías y dice, no, se le acaba de morir el perro a Chipo.
Sí, pues pues
Se enfermó y se murió.
Sí, se enfermó con cáncer.
Mm.
Y... Pero
¿Lo dormiste o murió
Sí.
solo? ¿O lo mandaste a dormir?
sí, no la mandó. Los doctores vienen a mi
Dijeron
casa y
que-
entonces hicieron.
Yeah. Fuck it. If a bird shits on me, I swear to God.
We can see what happens.
My name is Alma Daniela Servin Peregrino, which is, it's now changed. It's now Alma Silva.
So Alma, how do I know you? Who are you to me?
I raised you. Just kidding. You are my. I helped a little bit. I am your cousin. I was born in Ciudad Juarez, border town of El Paso. I was there for a total of 8 years. And then at age 8, probably like 2004, is when my grandmother and I would just periodically visit. We had a visa to just visit, so we'd come back and forth. I was always a really lonely kid, even though I had so many people around me. It was most of my memories are probably just raising myself and doing hoodlum stuff all over the place by myself and getting in trouble. One of the craziest memories that I have, which a lot of people didn't believe me for a long time, is that I saw goblins in Mexico. I saw 2 little duendes in our house. And for years they didn't believe me until Uncle George saw 2 of them on his own. I was in middle school. I don't remember exactly. It was probably like 6th grade. I was living with my grandmother. She raised me. And she just couldn't pay the bills anymore. She just by herself. She just couldn't continue to raise me. And so Uncle George came, picked her stuff up, and was going home. And I thought, finally, we're going back home. And no, she kind of just left me here with my mom. Never left. After just visiting for a while back before like '04, it was just, we would visit and stuff like that. Until years later, when I was about 10, is when it was like definitive that I wasn't going back home. It was kind of a shock because I honestly thought like I'd just come and visit, because we just come and visit like, Alondra and you guys and everything like that. And I was like, oh, when grandma was finally like, okay, I think we're done with like this whole apartment thing, like let's just go home, I thought I was going back home, and she kind of hit me with the, no, you're staying here, like this is your country now and I'm going home. It was a cultural shock too, because I think like racism and colorism and sexism and all that stuff is everywhere. And maybe I experienced it in Mexico too, but because it was among my own people and people who spoke my own language and looked like me, it wasn't that different. But when I started going to school here and I had no idea what they were saying, they were people who were blonde, blue-eyed, green-eyed I'd never seen before in my life. I was completely like in a whole nother world. And I faced a lot of hatred and racism from a lot of young kids from elementary to middle to high school. So it was really weird. It was a weird experience.
I hear that you're in the United States and you don't like it really. There was racism, there's colorism. So why didn't you just go back to Mexico?
I was a child. I had no choice. I barely had a voice back then, and growing up, like I said, in such a strong household with very, hard-headed, authoritarian people, I couldn't. There was no way. I was just told what to do, and I did it. When my grandmother told me this is your home now, I didn't question it. I didn't even think of questioning it. I think I started to rebel against it and question it and actually lash out about it in my adolescent, younger teen years. Kind of wanted to run from her and see if it was any better with my other parent, but because there was no other parent, I was just kind of really curious and I wanted to know more. And my father was always kind of like the Voldemort of the story. It was like, don't talk about him, don't mention him. He's the villain. So, and that's probably what led to even more rebellion. Wanted to know more why my questions weren't being answered, and it made me long more to go back home.
Since her detainment in Colorado, Alma has moved to a small town in Kansas with her husband and children. From what I understand, our grandma and aunts lived there for the affordability that a small town brings compared to Colorado. But like many countryside small towns, it held certain political ideologies. While recording this Trump sign, I was stopped by one of the local residents.
Doing good. What can I do you for?
I just saw you filming. I was just curious what you were filming.
So, I live with, I'm visiting my grandparents here.
Okay.
And I just like Overland, so I'm just filming some B-roll. I'm pretty much just
Oh.
practicing my hand.
Okay. No, I was just curious. I meant no disrespect.
Oh, no, you're good, you're
good.
Do you live here?
I do.
Ah, I see. Yeah, I mean, if you have a guy with a camera outside your front yard.
Yeah. So these are all my father just passed, and this is all his stuff. So I'm just a little sensitive.
Oh, I apologize.
No, that's what you didn't know. It's not your fault, man.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just curious. So, but no, do your thing, man.
Did you inherit this house?
No, this is actually my parents' house. I'm
I
just
see.
staying here for now.
I see. Okay.
So no, I haven't inherited it. So
Yeah, my folks are I don't know if you know the Spanish Mexicans over there.
I don't know, but I have noticed some
The
living
two
down
old
there.
women.
Okay.
Yeah, one of them's my grandma, the other one's my aunt.
Okay.
And so I came up here. I have a few more family members. I'm just coming to visit them and say
Okay.
hi because I live in Colorado.
Oh, okay.
So I don't get to come out much. And, you know,
Okay, I understand. Yeah, this town could use some color. So
that's fair. is it mainly
I'm
just
from
white
Cal.
people?
Yeah. My dad used to have a big Trump flag on this pole.
Is your dad a big Trump supporter?
He was, yeah.
Can I ask if you are?
I love Trump, but I'm not big into politics, if that makes sense.
That's fair.
So I care, but only to a certain extent. Believe it or not, I'm mixed myself. I'm mixed with black and Cuban.
Wow.
So, and I have very strong opinions on, like California, for example, where I'm from. It's same with, I believe, New York. It is now illegal for anyone, immigrant or not, to show valid ID to vote. Governor, mayor, president, it's illegal there.
Really?
Yeah, and tell me you're committing fraud without telling me you're committing fraud, you know what I mean? So I love my home, don't get me wrong, but I don't have to agree with everything that they do.
No, that's fair.
But I feel for a lot of, as long as you come into this country as a foreigner and you try to become legal or you have a work visa and you pay our taxes, then let them in. So I feel for a lot of people with that whole ICE thing, and it's scary.
Yeah. Part of my argument is that it's almost un-American, the way it's being handled.
You know what? You have a good point. We brag about how this is the land of the free, and you can come here and become anything and achieve anything. Just work hard. But then, you see what you see on TV and through the news, and you don't have to believe everything you read or see, but just open up your eyes, pay attention, and a lot of it is it's pretty scary.
A Purple Heart combat veteran deported from Arizona early this morning, and tonight he's in an unknown country.
But I would expect the same if I were to go into a different country. I would expect to have to abide by their rules and abide by their constitution and rights. And
ICE is teaching cadets to violate the Constitution. On my first day at the academy, I was instructed to read and return a memo in my supervisor's presence, which claimed ICE officers could enter homes without a judicial warrant.
Well, thank you very much. And yeah, I don't know if your mother saw me and got nervous, but if so, tell her I apologize. You too, man. Appreciate you.
One thing that interested me about this person was the mention of going through a legal process to become a citizen. He understood the idea behind it and he supported it. Yet, I feel like if he talked to somebody who had gone through these systems, like Alma, he would understand that they are heavily flawed.
DACA is a program that they offer kids from 16 and up who are in school to get the opportunity to work legally and have a social security and whatnot. So when it comes time to apply for colleges and go to work and do taxes and stuff like that, so they're prepared for all of that. It doesn't give you a legal status at all. It's just kind of it gives you a social, temporary social for just like I said, taxes and getting through school and giving you essentially eventually a road to residency. So they say.
Why do you say so they say?
Because it's a dead end. DACA is a dead end. There's really no way of fixing. When I became of a certain age, there was no way of me fixing residency unless I was married or there was a different route of going. DACA in itself had no outlet to a residency or citizenship. So at first, I knew something was wrong because my managers were frantically walking around being weird. I was called down to the office. I felt something was happening. I mean, it was bound to happen. The ICE officers came to my job to the back door of the warehouse, asked for a manager, gave them the order. They were told to not tell me what was happening. They told me to simply call me in and into the office and, so I wouldn't run or I don't know. And so they did. They called me down as soon as they saw me with no hesitation. They just asked my first and last name. They held me and handcuffed me and put me in the back of an agent vehicle. And they transported me to Aurora. I ended up there because I was charged with criminal offenses in Colorado due to a domestic dispute in which I decided to fight because I knew that what they were charging me for was not what happened, and I decided to go to trial. And the lawyers that I was working with told me that the only way to free myself of these charges and go to trial and whatnot would be to face immigration eventually. At a certain point, I think probably like half of a year in, I just called it quits. I was like, I'm going to go home. I had decided that I was not going to fight this anymore. I was really frustrated with everything that was going on with my case and everything going on in immigration because at that time that I was detained, it was the caravans were heading into the States. And there was crowds of people just storming through the border of all walks of life. So we had an increase of numbers in inmates. And seeing them and their cases and then their children going missing in the system and all of that stuff was just so much that I had called it quits like halfway through. But unfortunately, because I was in the process of a trial, I didn't even have that say. The judge did not let me bail out of my trial. And even though I spoke to my lawyer about it, she said that there was no way, that it was either I win this trial or I don't. I was just counting down to that day, and it was either I won the case that day or I was being deported that day. I was really disassociated during the trial because I just wanted to hear like a definitive answer of like, yes, you won or no, you didn't, like you're deported. Like I just didn't know I've never been in trial. I'd never been in a court, so I didn't know what was going to happen. The judge was kind of giving, like a pep talk before she had stated that like, yes, I grant this residency, but none of us in the courtroom caught it. I think we were all just very anxious and, that even my lawyer didn't catch it until the secretary or whoever it is, aside from the judge was like, you're good. I couldn't believe it. My family shot up, the lawyer was hugging me, and I still couldn't believe it. I had no idea what was happening. And so I walked back to the pod and I still hadn't registered it, and even the guards were hugging me and they were like, here's your bed stuff, like we're taking you to booking, you're leaving. And that's when I finally was like, holy crap, like I'm out. At a certain point, it was okay for me to handle. For others, not so much. So I feel like it's all subjective to everyone. I don't think that it is humane to take the kids away like they did. Because, like I said, during the time that I was arrested, it was Trump's first term, and the caravans were coming in like crazy. Those poor kids were in cages for a long time. A lot of those women told me horrible stories of how those poor kids were treated, and they were lost in the system. Many kids were being shipped out to California, Arizona, New York. They were lost. Their parents had no idea if they would ever find them again. And some kids even made it into the foster care system. So I think it's an agency that needs a lot of work, for sure. I know immigration is a hard, nuanced process, but they could definitely be more humane about it, for sure.